Well, we're delighted to be joined in the studio by business expert and friend of the show, Justin Urquhart Stewart. So what a day. And you would have been watching what happened in the sort of money markets very closely. So did the sacking of Kwasi, did the U-turns serve the purpose they were meant to do and put us on a better financial footing?
No.
Love that. A long question and a very straight to the point answer. And that's why you're in business and finance and not in politics.
Oh, I tell you what was really upsetting is because I was watching internationally and seeing what was happening in the States as well. Well, they don't always look particularly what we're not interested in Britain. But, unfortunately, we put ourselves in the news. There we actually find ourselves as the governor of the Bank of England over there at the big IMF meeting, and halfway through the meeting, the Chancellor has to leave. Because everyone says, he's probably lost his job. But that doesn't make us look very good. Brand Britain has, I'm afraid, been really rather badly damaged. And we're seen as being normally rather solid, straightforward, and we've, over the past few years, been actually getting a better reputation for being more entrepreneurial, more smaller businesses, more high-tech. But things like this just make us look stupid. And as we were discussing a few weeks ago, when you have a mini-budget which is actually saying, right, we're going to grow and then have inflation going up, and you've got a governor of the Bank of England saying, I'm trying to bring inflation down, and the rest of the world and the IMF, and you don't always believe the IMF, but nonetheless, that's still quite important, say, what are you doing? It just makes us look a bit dumb.
So, I mean, we've had 4 chancellors now in 4 months, which is sort of more like Italy, I always think, rather than the UK. But it means that Jeremy Hunt is now very powerful in the... the Prime Minister can't afford to lose him as Chancellor as well. So if you were advising him, what would you say he needs to do in order to reassure the financial markets and get us back to...
Calm everything down as much as possible. Just calm it down and let's go straight back and say, right, OK, what do we have to do to come up with probably a fairly neutral budget, which is not actually going to disturb very many people? And that means because in a few weeks' time, people are going to have other things on their mind which will put this into the background. Inflation is going to be very painful. No, my food and everything else is going up. My power, despite all the benefits, is still going to be going up overall. And my mortgage is going to get really rather expensive as well. That will be much more important to people than, frankly, the Tory party mucking around about who's actually leading. So what he can do is calm everything down and then try and highlight and put some focus on the areas where Britain is actually better known for. Despite the issues with our pension fund this week, we're known as an international financial centre. Actually focus on that and actually just start not beating it up, but actually making sure that people realise just how strong this and useful this can be. 2, smaller businesses. Our development of smaller businesses, and this is particularly a non-London thing around the country, we're actually really rather good at, and being able to provide more support there. That would help create jobs, help create, actually with levelling up, actually in a much more easy way. And again, that's a positive story. Now, calm it down and start having positive stories like that coming out. It'll take time, and you have to neutralise the nasty stories of all the prices going up. That's probably the way to try and do it.
How important is the OBR's assessment when that comes out at the end of the month? I mean, Jacob Rees-Mogg says, well, I have no idea. Sort of, I'm paraphrasing here, but, you know, I don't know why everyone's so bothered because their forecasts have always been horrendously wrong.
He's right, he has no idea.
But despite the fact that they're always horrendously wrong, how important is what they...
I don't think they're horrendously wrong. Their main task in life actually is not actually to forecast, it's actually to check the sums to make sure, does this add up, or say, excuse me, you've got a naught missing here. And that's the whole idea, is to give us confidence that someone else has checked it. And it's not always going to be right, but you just want that third-party validation. And as soon as we heard that hadn't been done, then that's when the hairs on the back of your head go up and go, what are you telling us here? You're coming up with a mini-budget and no one's checked it?
Yeah.
Well, the OBR only was introduced by George Osborne. It's as if it's been going back hundreds of years. Nearly before that, nobody checked the Treasury. The Treasury marked their own homework. I always
thought it was amazing that it was a great thing to bring in. It's actually rather risky, because if you hadn't done it properly and the OBR turns around and says you're wrong, you say, oops, that's a bit tiresome.